Hello and welcome to Unpacked, the show that breaks down the complex stories behind the headlines. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Taylor. Today we're diving into, well, one of the most significant and controversial actions of the new administration, President Trump's 2025 pardons.
It's a story with so many layers, Taylor. We're not just talking about a few high-profile cases.
Right.
The sheer scale of this it's just unprecedented.
It really is. In total, we're looking at clemency for, nearly 1,600 people?
Wow.
Yeah. And the vast majority of those came from a single sweeping blanket pardon for individuals involved in the January 6th Capitol attack.
And on top of that, you have these other big names sprinkled in. Ross Ulbricht, right? Founder of the Silk Road, sentenced to life. Todd and Julie Chrisleys, the reality TV stars, convicted of major bank fraud. It's a very eclectic list.
So let's unpack this. We're going to look at three main aspects. First, the staggering financial cost to victims.
Okay.
Then the immediate and, sometimes tragic legal troubles some of these pardoned individuals found themselves in. And finally, the jaw-dropping fact that a number of them actually landed jobs within the administration.
Let's start with the money because the number is it's eye-watering.
Yeah.
I've seen reports putting the figure at over $1 billion.
It's more than $1.3 billion, to be precise. And, to be clear, this isn't just government fines. This is court-ordered restitution that was legally owed to the victims of these crimes. The pardons, they effectively made that debt just disappear.
So when we say victims, who are we talking about here? This isn't just some abstract number.
No, not at all. We're talking about pension funds for transit workers and city employees that were defrauded. We're talking about a Native American tribe that lost its entire savings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We're even talking about a Republican governor who testified that he was personally duped by a fundraising scam run by someone who was later pardoned. For them, this money and their chance at being made whole is simply gone.
That's a devastating consequence that gets lost in the political back and forth. But the fallout doesn't end with the money, does it? What about the individuals themselves? Has clemency led to a fresh start for everyone?
Far from it. And this is where the story takes a really dark turn. At least a dozen people pardoned by Trump over his 2 terms have been charged with new crimes. And the cases from this year are particularly stark.
Okay, so what are the specifics?
Just days after being pardoned for his role on January 6th, a man named Matthew Hoodle, who, by the way, already had a long and violent criminal history, was shot and killed by police during a traffic stop in Indiana.
That's shocking. And he's not the only one.
No. Another pardoned rioter, Daniel Ball, was immediately rearrested on a federal gun charge. Because of his prior felony record, it was illegal for him to possess the firearm they found. And a third, Andrew Tate, is now a fugitive, wanted by Texas police for a 2016 warrant on online solicitation of a minor.
It really forces you to question the entire process. Was anyone vetting these individuals, or was this just a purely political exercise?
That is the central question. The traditional pardon process, it involves a meticulous, years-long review by the Department of Justice's pardon attorney. The goal is to find remorse and rehabilitation. It seems that was largely bypassed in favor of a system based more on personal connections and, above all, political loyalty.
And that loyalty appears to have been rewarded in a very, very direct way. Let's get to our third point, the administration jobs. This is the part of the story that feels like it's straight out of a political thriller.
It's perhaps the most unprecedented part. Jared Wise, a former FBI agent who was a defendant in a January 6th case, was pardoned and then hired as a senior advisor in the Justice Department.
Wait, let me just repeat that. A pardoned defendant is now an advisor at the very department that prosecuted him.
Correct. He's working for a new weaponization working group, and it doesn't stop there.
Wait, what?
The lawyer who defended many Jan 6 rioters, Ed Martin, was appointed as the new U.S. pardon attorney. So the man who advocated for the pardons is now the gatekeeper for all future pardons.
It's a perfect
revolving door. The people who benefit from the system are then put in charge of running that same system.
Precisely. It raises these fundamental questions about conflicts of interest and the integrity of what is supposed to be an impartial process of justice and mercy.
So when you put it all together, the $1 billion in lost restitution, the new crimes and public safety risks, the administration jobs for the pardoned, I mean, what is the real story here?
The real story is that the presidential pardon, a tool designed as a final act of mercy, is being used in a way that fundamentally alters its purpose.
How so?
It's being used as a tool of political reward to erase financial debts to victims and to install loyalists into the very heart of our government.
It's a foundational shift in how this constitutional power is used, with consequences that we're only just beginning to see play out. That's all the time we have for this edition of Unpacked. We've covered a lot of ground, but this conversation is far from over, and it leaves us with a question we'd like you to think about.
Now, here's a question we'd like you to think about. If the president can forgive a crime, should that power also extend to forgiving the debt owed to the victims of that crime? Where should we draw the line between mercy and justice?